Hello and a warm welcome to another episode of the Third Half Podcast, a podcast where we talk all things sport.fun, covering both football and American football. I'm Palmer and I'm joined with my co-host Laird. Laird, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. I just was telling you about something I wanted to talk about and you were like, I've been wronged by this. I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like this week's episode is probably going to quickly derail into me just complaining about multiple different things. So we might as well start right into it. I think the big topic, well, one of the big topics at the moment, we're obviously in the middle of the Champions League. We had 2 games last night. We've got 2 games tonight. Barcelona beat Atlético Madrid 2-1 last night. However, it wasn't enough. Back-to-back games with a red card for a defender for them. I found it brilliant going into the game because you had everything about like Atletico Madrid, all the memes and all the emojis of them. You know, people had done AI generations of them building a brick wall in front of the goal. You had Simeone saying, we won't get found out by Barcelona's counter-attack because we just won't attack, so they can't counter it. We won't be offside because we've got no players up front. Like, it was absolutely brilliant going into it. Lamine Yamal scores, I think, 3 minutes into the game.
3 or 4, yeah.
And it's like, oh, your plan's out the window. And it kind of fell apart. Were you watching either of the 2 games last night?
Not a second of them.
Not a second of them. So I was going to say, if you were to have thrown one on, which one would you have gone to?
Definitely Barca. That one. But I appreciate that. I just felt like, I hate to say this directly to you. I felt like Liverpool had no chance. And so I was just like, I don't want to watch something that felt like there was no chance. And it's funny because, so I was out. That's the only reason why I didn't have it on. But I had my phone and tracking it through people in Discord and all this stuff. And then I saw Yamal scored early and I was like, this is going to be like a banger game. And I'm out. And it turned out to be like a great game for a while. And then when Atletico Madrid scored, it was like, uh-oh, that's no good. And because inevitably my football fandom is more fantasy wise. And I was like, I don't want Atletico Madrid. I don't want them further because that's just like another week we have to deal with them. And it's dealing with the fact that I don't really want to pick anyone from their team. And you usually don't want to pick anyone against them because they kind of muck up the game. Barcelona, I said this actually on my stream yesterday. I had Yamal and Pedri in picks because they had to attack. And the amount of points, even if they didn't score, you would expect them to have a lot of heavy attacking points. And just like you said, the plan was no player across midfield for Atletico Madrid. So that's great. But then if Arsenal don't bottle this one, which is really funny to say since they're in the middle of bottling the Premier League, but Arsenal Atletico Madrid seems like the absolute worst possible fantasy matchup.
Yeah.
And probably our IRL too. It's just boring. And so I think it I'm disappointed about Barcelona being eliminated just for the fact that it's now we don't have Yamal, we don't have Pedri, and the game is more fun when those guys are in.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously had it last week where we were talking about players coming into the game and I, said, I love watching all out attacking football, leave 2 men at the back, just press for it. I'm the exact same as you. I had Yamal as my captain. I also had Pedri in the picks. I've always done picks since the start of picks where I've owned all of the players. And I've been like, sod that. I'm just going to go for who now I think is going to be the highest scoring rather than who I own. So Yamal, I think 270 plus points. Kind of expected scoring a goal against Atleti, but exactly what you're saying. Atleti are just kind of for a tactical standpoint, an appreciation of the game, unbelievable. They've done it year on year, structured in that kind of famous 4-4-2, solid at the back. Even, you roll back the years to when they had Godin at the back and people like that. Jan Oblak's been in goal for
decades.
I can't think of any other Atletico keeper. So it's what you're going to get with Atleti. But when you're when you're spending your Tuesday, Wednesday evening watching the Champions League, you kind of want to watch the flash, the all-out attack, the Yamals, the Pedris, the Ferran Torres. You don't want to be watching Julian Alvarez playing like a centre-forward role, trying to track back and defend. So it's, I think every single year I have it where I'm like, this team shouldn't have gone through because it's not good. And it's like, yeah, but they lost over 2 legs. They weren't the better team, regardless if it's an interesting watch. It's one of them. But one thing I just want to quickly pick up on, and we're obviously, I think everybody's now starting to get their radar onto the World Cup. They're starting to think what nation's going to go forward. We'll touch on Ekitike and France shortly, but just keeping it on that Spanish side, I've put it in quite a few chats, in channels, in conversations. I'm pretty sure that Spain are the odds favourites to win the World Cup, and I just don't believe they have enough to get over the line. You've got to think that Spain's national team is pretty much the majority of Barcelona's team. And it's it's exactly what I've said in those conversations. Spain are dictated and dependent on Lamine Yamal. He's a kid. He can't even drink in America. He's going to go over there and not be able to celebrate. And their whole World Cup is relying on Yamal to the point of, yes, he's guaranteed over 90 minutes to make some magic happen. But if you can do enough like Atletico Madrid, you can still nick the edge and kind of hold it back. So I think last night for me, and again, I've not watched the 90 minutes. I was watching another game, gone back and watched highlights and watched clips, that have been shared and posted. But yeah, it's almost a little bit for me kind of foreshadowing what might happen in the World Cup. The expectation for Barca was just to walk past Atleti. It's not happened. The expectation is for Spain to walk past everybody in the World Cup. Will it happen? So I feel like there's some kind of lessons that we're starting to learn throughout this Champions League.
I think the funny thing about Spain is I feel like every major tournament we talk about that. We're like, man, look at these players they have. They're so good, so good. And then they bring out Alvaro Morata's corpse to lead the line. And you're just like, that's the best they have. And it's a weirdly set up team because they have a lot of very good players that happen to play the same positions. And
100%.
And then they're lacking in some of the key ones. So they are the favorite. I just looked it up. They're pretty close with France. England's right behind, but they're certainly not any dominant favorite to win. And so, and then, weird things happen in the World Cup. If they finish second in the group, all of a sudden they're on the wrong side of the bracket. You just never know. And so, but you're right. When the favorite is dependent on a 19-year-old kid who, is probably the best player in the world right now, but but he's also just 19. And so he was 15 when the last World Cup happened. It's that's nuts. And so, yeah, you just never know.
No. So interesting. Reluctantly flip it over to the other game. Mo Salah's last Champions League, for Liverpool, wearing a red shirt, not the exit he wanted. It's another day of people calling for Arne Slot's head. The setup for me as a Liverpool fan was a weird one. Not starting Salah, having Rio tearing it up the other week and not starting him, having Isak knowing he can't play more than 45 and starting him in a game that could go to extra time and penalties. Joe Gomez having a 10-minute cameo of, it's just I'm somebody, he's been here, 18 months. I'm not somebody that likes to go around calling for a manager's head because there's so much, there's so much more out there that I don't know for me to have an informed opinion. And again, there's another major unlucky injury in Ekitike. We kind of getting reports out that he's, snapped, ruptured his Achilles, whatever the medical term is. Isak comes back Ekitike goes out. That was their third game starting together in a Liverpool shirt. And that might be their third and final starting together in a Liverpool shirt. We don't know what's going to happen for Hugo. Bowing out at Anfield goalless. It's just like watching that game in the first half was piss poor. Going into the second half, it was electric. End to end, attacking football, Salah creativity down the right. It was a game where Ekitike would have flourished in that second half. Gakpo, I'll probably get the channel banned if I speak my honest truth. And it's just like Joe Gomez for that first 10, 15 minutes, like his aerial threat defending the counterattacks. He had at one point, he smashed a Travella across the pitch, and it's like he got his head on corners thinking, is this going to be the day he gets a goal? One pass through from Salah meant for Rio. Gakpo does his best to intercept it. 20 seconds later, we've conceded to Dembele, and it's curtains, really. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to sit here saying it's all Arne Slot's fault and he should be gone, but I think we're going to see questions being asked more than ever this week, because it's just not good enough. And yes, we've got a sea of injuries. Isak, Ekitike, Leone, like Alisson's gone, Frimpong, Connor Bradley. Just trying to think off the top of my head, there's so many players who have missed periods over the season. So excuses can be made for Slot, but at the end of the day, he's still managing one of the top clubs in the world, and he needs to deliver against the odds sometimes. You can't always be the favourite and win by having the better team every game. Sometimes you have to be the underdog and pull it out, and it just doesn't seem like he knows how to do that. So I'm still bitter. I'm still not over it. I'm still pissed off. I watched the last 10 minutes of the Barca game when, saying that, I think it was 91st minute when I switched over. I watched probably the last 5 minutes of Barca when we conceded that second goal. Just deflated with it, really. It's a shit show.
Yeah, so it's funny because I look at the Liverpool lineup, the one that went out, and obviously Isak's broken at this point. And Ekitike coming out, but Salah coming in. There's so much quality on that team, but then you just look at the other side at the PSG quality and you're like, oh, that, it feels like Liverpool have Premier League quality and PSG have world-class quality everywhere. Yeah. And so you were saying, sometimes you just have to punch up and be able to deliver a result against a better team. But that PSG team, talent-wise, just seems way above.
I mean, I think we have to now look at the Champions League. So you've got PSG will play either Real or Bayern, and we'll get on to that game that will be tonight shortly. Meanwhile, Atletico play either Arsenal or Sporting. I think we're slowly starting to look now at whoever PSG play, be that Real or Bayern, that semi-final is basically the final. Whoever wins that game out of PSG, Real and Bayern will go on to win the Champions League. So sometimes it's kind of, you can almost be like, oh, well, we lost to the losers, so what were you expecting? And PSG probably are up there now with the chance of going forwards. They had another week where they didn't play a domestic game. It got called off. So we've had to go away, and the majority of those lads have gone and played 90 minutes to then come back in and now have to play PSG. PSG have rested their whole starting 11 and gone back in. Again, possibly excuses, but that's the level of competition. When you look at Liga, their whole governing body and their whole finances and the board of whatever, the committee, they need PSG to go and dominate on the world stage. The Premier League doesn't need that because they've got enough of their product within the English domestic league. So, again, I don't want to sound like just being a bitch and making excuses, but you've got to kind of lay out the facts. And it's you then look at moments in the game Maka went down, won a penalty. VAR showed nothing. I don't know if you've seen the replay of that. Ref went over to the monitor. We saw on our screen an empty penalty box. And then the ref went, yeah, no pen. Came over and gave it. And it's like, what's he just been shown? Like, there was, whether it's just a kind of TV error, but still, there's a broken VAR screen and he's overruled his decision. Was it a penalty? That's, you're going to get a divide as a Liverpool fan. I'm going to say yes. It's one of those where Maka has clearly intentionally invited the contact. He's gone in, he's backed into the player. Pacho's kind of, hit him from behind, clipped his leg. Maka's gone down. There's contact. Has he played for it? Possibly. Is it enough for VAR to rule it, overrule it as a clear and obvious? I don't believe so. But again, am I just being biased? Later on in the game, you've got a chance where Rio cuts in on his right, whips it bottom corner. Safanov literally saves it on his wrist and it slides under his hand and he just manages to get enough. 2 minutes later, Dembele opens it up, puts it in the bottom corner and Gio can't get there. And it's like, this is the quality that you need. And when I, as a fan, go, is it Slot's fault? Well, these are the margins, these are the inches, these are the decisions that had we have got that penalty and been 2-1 down, the crowd would have been up. And it's like, what then? Had that Rio goal have slipped under Safanov's hand and it would have been 2-1, what then? There's all these kind of moments in the game, and I suppose that's why we love football, because it's play that game again, those chances go a different way, it's a different result. I'm in a different mood having this conversation. But yeah, I understand where you come from saying I think the game was over before the ball was kicked off. Probably I'm reluctantly agreeing with you. You've got to look at the teams on paper and kind of be realistic. But yeah, I was a hopeless optimist last night and here we are now.
But that's why we love sport. Like, it's going into that match saying, no, we have a chance. We can do this. Whether you do or not, it doesn't matter. It's the hope. The thing you said before about how the other semifinal is going to be basically the final. So it's the PSG versus Madrid or Bayern. Reminded me back of the Club World Cup. So do you know who the two semifinal games were at the Club World Cup?
Was it Chelsea, PSG off the top of my head?
So that was the final.
Was that the final?
So the semifinal was PSG, Real Madrid, and the other one was Chelsea, Fluminense. And it was like, everybody looked at that PSG Madrid and they were like, oh, that's the final. And then PSG went and lost the final. So they didn't even actually win it. PSG beat Bayern and then Real Madrid on their way to losing to Chelsea. But it's just like, when you said, like, that's the final, I was like, we have had a tournament recently where we said the exact same thing. And I realized it was the Club World Cup. And I was just like, oh, there you go. Never in a million years would I have guessed Fluminense.
They say lightning doesn't strike twice, but I suppose it would be interesting to see if they go and, beat Real / Bayern before going on. But it's just, it's a difficult one. It's a horrible one. Pulling it back into kind of an SDF related, scenario. We had player picks now with loanees. I think I saw an image of somebody had Safanov in their picks, got like 160, 170 points. And it's like, whoa, we can buy Chevalier. He's not playing. You can't buy Safanov, and he's just gone and scored an incredible score. What are your kind of, how are you enjoying the picks and the changes with now being able to loan players? And of course, as well, the change in structure going down to a 5-point break with dynamic point pricing.
So there were a couple of things on that. One is, I think opening it up to more players now is mostly a test. Like, I don't think they're necessarily trying to do this for every tournament. So it's in those tournaments where there's not that many players. And like you said, like, we have Chevalier, we don't have Safanov. Like, thinking of all of the goalkeepers in this tournament, like, we lost Oblak, we lost Allison, we lost Chevalier. I don't think Sells has been starting
It's been a it's been a
the
mix up for
European
Sells.
games. Emi
Looning's
Martinez is
played a lot.
possibly hurt,
Yeah,
and like there was a possibility we would go into this with 0 goalkeepers.
yeah.
It's like that's not great for picks, and so I ended up only using one lone player in my picks, and it was a goalie, and I don't know if it was just because I happened. I don't know why there just weren't any again, I feel like we kind of have most of the best players in the world anyway. So I don't think there were any lone outfield players where I was like, oh man, I wish I had that guy. Somebody had made a point. I forget where it was, but it was like they added Stanisic from Bayern. And it's like, we already have 2 Bayern defenders already. Like, why do we need a third one?
I think I saw, Pavlovic as well come in. I'm like, another
maybe,
Bayern attacker.
Yeah.
It's
he is
crazy.
there. Yeah. But I don't know, like the, more Betis guys and more the sporting guys who are not there, Porto, like I think it helps. And maybe it's kind of a preview of what we see when scouting comes up, if these are guys who are kind of in scouting, whatever that looks like. But again, I think it was more just because there weren't that many players available, and they'll do this more often for tournaments where there are just not enough players. Like I imagine the World Cup will kind of look like this. So yeah, we'll see.
No, and I suppose, pulling it back to last week's episode, we had that exact same conversation around. There's not world-class players out there that we're like, oh my God, we need them in the game. We desperately need this player to join. But it's that cover aspect. And, Alisson's not in. Mamad Vasheli, is he an option? Chevalier's not in. Safanov, is he an option? Like, how do we kind of cross that path? A lot of people calling out injury cover on the back of Hugo Ekitike being injured for Liverpool. Trying to kind of understand how that would work is quite difficult. Obviously Ekitike got replaced pretty much with kind of Gakpo / Salah. It's like, well, Salah's in the game, so then you've got Gakpo. Is Cody Gakpo truly a replacement that people would care about enough to not sell after Ekitike, knowing that Hugo's going to be out for possibly, this time next season? Because Isak's in the game, Salah's in the game, so his next replacement is down the pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's kind of thinking, how does it work across the platform? Can injury cover come in? Can it be something that changes? Could we do it just positional wise for, say, goalkeepers? What are your thoughts?
So I've slandered goalkeepers for a long time. And last week's show, I think the wheel just reminded us that we need to stop doing that. But I genuinely think like team goalkeeper would be fine. Like it doesn't, they usually don't matter in terms of fantasy scoring. The only one that comes to mind is when Vicario was replaced for Kinski in that Champions League game, and he was terrible and replaced at halftime. Like, and that doesn't really happen. I did see the calls for injury replacements in the Discord, which is, I like never go into the SDF Discord, and I happened to yesterday, and Gary was like, injury cover would have been nice, but that kind of also missed that Ekitike got hurt during the game, and so like you wouldn't get an injury cover for that. And I think the example you gave, or maybe you've given it elsewhere, was like, well, what happens when Frimpong gets hurt and Soboslai goes there? Like, does Soboslai, he's not a right back, but like he's playing right back. And I just think that it's so much harder to do it in football for reasons like that. But also we have so many more players that, not that you're getting like a cover, but there are more players that you can go to if it happens. The seasons are much longer, and like it works in NFL because you have only a handful of games that you have in a season, and generally injury replacements are not that much worse from like a fantasy perspective, particularly running backs. Like, if
they
anything,
get the utility and
anyone can be a running back, but it's just not the same. And so like if Yamal goes down, like, do you get Ferran Torres? Like, It's
Yeah,
just, it leaves way too much ambiguity and somebody's opinion of like who they are, that
of course.
just don't think it works. And I don't think most people who are playing football, who are playing football that fun, even think they need it.
No. I mean, so reality is, so just to give a random example, say if I own Mo Salah goes down injured, his injury cover is Chiesa, kind of next right mid, right winger in the order. I don't want Chiesa.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to get the same stats. He's not going to get the same game time. He's not going to get the same positional. Like, so I'm just going to sell my Mo Salah. Like, it's not like you say, well, wide receiver 1 from the Bills goes down in hurt. Well, wide receiver 2 is now going to be the main target. Yes, they might shift some more passing to the tight end, and the tight end gets a bit more utility. But that next draft order, they still need somebody, as the first option. So it's kind of he might not make as many catches. Yes, he might not be able to run, deep as well. There's going to be kind of implications within the NFL and also within, the NBA. You might get a point guard go down hurt. Well, they're going to put another point guard on. It's kind of, you're
Mhm.
going to keep that same, my center's hurt. Oh no. It's like, okay, well, it's not a problem. They're going to put another center on. It doesn't happen in football. You might get a right back gets hurt and the manager goes, right, sod this, we're going to a 3-back and I'm going to sub on a
I was
right
just about to say that.
midfielder.
Yeah.
So there's kind of, because we've got it broken down into defender, midfielder, forward, they're very kind of blurred lines anyway for what is a midfielder and what is a forward, because people will argue a winger's a midfielder, some people will argue a winger's an attacker. It's grey areas all the time. We have it where, I think I asked you the day saying, where would you put Musiala? Would you put him as a midfielder or would you put him as a forward? Yes, he's, in my opinion, he's a kind of midfielder, but he's not a midfielder in the natural sense. He's a very attacking midfielder. So it's grey areas, but I don't know if they'll ever do an injury cover. I do like the idea of doing kind of team goalies, how they have in fantasy football for the NFL. You have like a team's defense.
Mm.
I wouldn't mind it if they were to go down there. I don't know if they could at this stage of the game, strip a player name and do it as a club. How does it work when you've got a Donnarumma and a Trafford through transfers and stuff? So I don't know. I think it's almost just a bit of a barrier, and I don't believe there's an easy answer on where to go, really.
The easy answer is just not do it.
Yeah. You're probably right. Speaking of not doing it, packs, they're meant to upgrade. They're just not doing it. What's going on?
So I want to talk about this. I told you I wanted to talk about this because you have never had an upgrade. And I would like to hear about what your pack process is. And then we can try to fix it for your upgrades.
So I lump everything in one. I was going through a period where I was getting about, I don't know, 3,000 to 5,000 TP a week. And I would do it all in one. When I'd get my Friday rewards, I'd save it for that batch. If I had a really shit week and I got 1,000 TP, I would wait and batch up, because I was like, my mind was like, oh, well, I don't want to open a pack and waste my legendary upgrade on a really small TP pack. I want to wait till I've got a big pack. And I think I'm like 20 packs deep without an upgrade. So I guess based on I think like 5% chance, I need to open 100 packs to get 5. So maybe I'm going to get them all in one consecutively, but just not happening for me.
So there was someone in the strategy Discord, I think, that said they got back-to-back upgrades. And I was like, oh man, that's nice. So I usually open packs in 5,000 increments. So like if I'll hold some for the next week, or if I win like 7,000, I'll open a 5,000 pack and then you just slam the rest sometimes. And I think I got one upgrade, what felt like 10 years ago, and feel like I haven't gotten one since. So yesterday I had like just over 10K TP and opened five packs, like at 2,000 each, and did get an upgrade. So the first 2 packs I got were arguably the worst packs in the history of SDF. I got like Lukaku, Locatelli, and Trafford or something. It was like, it was so bad. And I was like, man, all right. So I actually, do I still have it here? I like calculated so it was one of those things that I felt bad because by the end it was like, okay. And then I went back and looked at the gold amount that I had won, and it was like 500. And I was just like, shit, that was pretty good. So I ended up getting one upgrade. The problem is that my upgraded pack was worth less than the 2 packs I had opened before that. So like, I do have it up here, or I do have. All right. So my first pack, it was Lukaku, Locatelli, and Trafford, 2,000 TP, and it was worth 34 gold. I'll just say $34, which felt really bad.
Yeah.
The next one was Salah, Danny Olmo, and Mark Flecken, 53.
Mixed
like
bag.
That's really bad. And I was like, it's almost double what I just opened.
Yeah.
The next one, these are all 2,000, like 2,000 flat, was Julian Alvarez, Saka, and Olise. Olise obviously helps us out. It was worth 145.
Is that just a pro standard?
Pro standard, 2,000,
Wow. 2,000
TP. And I was like, okay, we're moving. The next one, Gravenberch, Gabriel, and Vitinha, 115. And I was like, not 145 but like, again. But
still, Gabriel's.
Yep. So again, my first one was 35, and this one was 115 and 144. So I get an upgrade on my next one to an epic. Saka, Kobel, and Cucurella, worth 97. So I get an upgrade that was worth less than the 2 packs I'd opened before. That was not an upgrade. And then the last one I opened was, so I had 1,700 left, and it was Guirassy, Caicedo, and João Neves. That was worth 55. So I went through all of that, and I was like, that ends up around $500. And I was like, that's for 10,000 TP, roughly. No, maybe 12, just about 12,000. And I was like, that's really good. Like, I shouldn't be like complaining about that. But it felt like, again, my previous strategy was to just open that. I would have just opened 2 5K packs. And if you go, like, if I had gotten 2 5K packs and the first 2 were Lukaku, Locatelli, and Trafford, and then Salah, Olmo, and Flecken, I would have just thrown my computer out the window and just been like, all right, let me go play more MFL. But I think, and even the upgrade wasn't that good, but it kind of opened my eyes a little more to the variance of what happens when you open more smaller packs. But it's exactly like getting an upgrade on a smaller amount of TP that I usually open. Like, that's my fear of getting an upgrade on a low TP pack and like wasting the upgrade on that for a while has been like stronger than my thought of maybe I'll get an upgrade on my 5K pack, but it takes me so much longer to get to that upgrade. And so I'm wondering if you should just start opening on lower TP amounts.
So I've just pulled up my spreadsheet that I've kind of got where I tracked it. Now, I've not tracked any packs for the last week and a half. So I've got 13 packs dated back to the 4th of February. So 13 packs. The average spend is just over 4,500 TP per pack. So that's the sum of around 59,208 TP spent. Not a single upgrade. Every single pack is a pro pack. The average dollar per 1,000 TP is $34 per 1,000 TP. So my average spend is my average return is $349 per 10K TP spent. So where you're saying you've spent 10K and got 500 and something dollars, I'm $200 short of that. And it's like grinding because you sat there thinking, yes, I know there's variance. Yes, I know there's this, that, the other. But when you're playing for TP, opening packs, and constantly not getting the upgrades. What's my biggest? So here we go. So the biggest one I had, I've had one pack, and it was worth $73 per 1,000 TP. So I spent 4,495 TP on this pack. It was a pro pack. I got Ekatike, Yamal, and Voltemada, and that was worth I can't see that was worth 330 gold, $330 in that single pack. I've had a couple others. I had one for 51 where I spent 7,900 TP on a pack. I got Luis Diaz, Nuno Mendes, and Jude Bellingham. But then, it's like that kind of, I understand I need to do this over a season. I need to do this over hundreds of packs. My mentality though, just being, I want to open larger. Bless you.
Thank you.
Then I want to open kind of larger packs to ensure that, when I get an upgrade, it's worth it. Because yes, you go lower, you play the odds. The more packs you open, the more chance you are going to get a hit, the more chance you're going to get an upgrade. I get that. So I'm kind of doing the very slow. It's kind of add a few more packs, probably about 15, 16 packs opened over the past 2 months, not a single upgrade. It's pretty crap to put it like that, but I understand that maybe I need to do this for another 2-3 months, and that, whatever my average is, $98 per 1,000 TP might jump up to $60 per 1,000 TP. So it's a frustration, but
So I think the problem is that you're frustrated at the wrong thing. So the pack variance, and it feels like obviously people share their good packs. So when they get an upgrade on like a 10K TP pack and
100%,
it's $1 million pack or what, like everyone's like, oh, that's great. So there are tons of upgrades that end up being like mine, where I get Kobel, Saka, and Kukurea. And you don't, like, realistically, you don't want pack upgrades. You want to pack Yamal and Olise, and to a lesser extent Mbappe. Like the value of the pack that you open is so much higher if you get Yamal or Olise, because it's the same number of shares. But when Yamal is at 0.06 and Haaland is 0.02, that's a much bigger pack. Like 2,000 shares at 0.02 versus 2,000 shares at 0.06.
Yeah.
And that's really, like, if you got that pack without an upgrade, you'd be like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
But if you got your upgrade again with Trafford, what was that, Lukaku, like, you would.
Yeah, Palacios, you'd be like, what? Yeah. No, I get that. And I feel like the packs before were like trying to roll a die and get a 6. You were like, oh, the bigger the number, the better. Now I've got to try and roll a double 6. I've now got to try and get a Yamal and get him in a legendary pack.
Yeah.
And that's where you're like, oh my God, that's where you see people go, holy shit, what a pack. That's unbelievable. My frustration is literally just like having that animation every pack being like, oh, no, it's a pro pack. and like before I've even seen the players in there, I'm like, oh, it's a fucking pro pack.
So
it's like, but the mentality is like, just give me one upgrade so I can be like, oh, I got an upgrade, and then let me be pissed off that you've given me a legendary, but you've actually given me on James Trafford. Like, play with my emotions, but I'm just kind of, and 100% you're right. You only ever see the winners. Nobody's out there sharing, oh, I've just done this. They share the, look at this pack I've just got. How great is it? But it's just kind of, I don't look at that, think, oh, I want that pack. It's more so, it's like, I just want an upgrade. So that's where my understanding goes. Maybe I need to give it another 3 months. And maybe I'll be the one that goes and gets, a legendary upgrade of Lamine Yamal and Kylian Mbappe a day before the Spain-France World Cup final. And I'll be like, sod you all, I win. And then I'll be dancing round and
Sure.
we'll go from there.
I just think that the so it's almost like the odds are better of getting an upgrade than they are of landing Olise. Certainly like Olise and Yamal and like getting one of those absolute super packs just based on the players. It's like, I think, and I don't think that there's anything they need to do to fix that, but packs with Yamal, and like I had that Olise pack. Who else was in that pack? Alvarez and Saka. Like I got 1,800 shares of Olise, and that's worth $96, and 96 of 145. And so, would an upgrade from that one be great? Yeah, of course. But instead, I got extra shares of Gregor Kobel and Mark Cucurella and Saka, who I think I got rid of Saka already. And Kobel's actually the only goalie that I keep. And I turn my other shares, like every time I win goalie shares. It just goes right to Kobel. Not that I think he's any good. Well, he's fine. He's there. But
he's in goal.
He's in goal. But I think that's really what it is. And so, like realistically, I know you want an upgrade to say that you got an upgrade, but I think you that's not really what you want. Or if you want an upgrade, like you want it with Olise or with Yamal. And so ultimately I wonder if they should like change the animation so you don't know if you get an upgrade until after. But that kind of kills the finding out you have an upgrade at the beginning. Makes you excited. So
one thing I'd said when they were kind of going through it all, I don't know if you've ever played or seen like lightning roulette. So it's like, online casino. So basically it's a normal game of roulette, but each time they spin the ball, you get lightning, and basically it picks random numbers and will give them a multiplier. Maybe it's a times 5, maybe it's a times 100. So it's like you put you go 36. 36 now gets a times 10 as the ball's spinning. You're like, oh shit. Now if I hit 36, this is even bigger. And I kind of said, well, would it be better to have, not the whole pack is a legendary pack, but per player, you could hit a legendary player and then the next one's a pro pack. And then, so would that kind of change things up? Because I've just looked through these packs. So the 13 packs, 39 players, Lamine Yamal once, Vinny Jr. once. I've not got any Mbappe in that list. The next biggest name, we're looking at maybe Bruno, maybe Luis Diaz, Jude Bellingham once. So it's not like, and that's the other thing. The TP per, the dollar per TP is so low because the names are quite bad. And it's almost like I'm sat here thinking I need an upgrade just to bridge that gap and bring my shit pack in line with an okay pack.
Mm-hmm.
But again, maybe I'll go and open a pack and the next one will be, a legendary Lamine Yamal, and I'll edit this conversation out of the video.
Well, again, it's, you got to experience the lows to appreciate the highs. That's all it is.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you like packs? Now that you've had the history, and now you said it was 13 packs.
Yeah.
Like this
At
sounds
least
really...
I've not tracked. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's not that many packs.
No, not at all.
So now you just may have real shit luck. It's possible but like, yeah, 13 is not that bad. And so, or not that many, excuse me. And so that's why I'm wondering if maybe you should start just blasting them at 1,000 TP.
Yeah, I'm a go big or go home kind of person. I think and it's 13 packs, but like I say, untracked. I've not tracked it for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and I backdated it as far as I could to the start of Feb. So, we're looking at 13 packs over a kind of 8-9 week period. It's not terrible.
Mm.
It's basically saying it's a pack every tournament near enough. Obviously, we've had the international break, which has kind of killed things because I don't even think, well, those are the packs that I haven't tracked. And again, I think they were just kind of like throwing it away. I love the new pack style. I love the slider, the fact that you can put as much as you want into a pack. I really, really enjoy that. I do like the fact that it's a multiplier, that it's an upgrade, rather than just being a pack and it's directly tied TP per dollar kind of linked there. I'm unfortunately on the wrong side of the coin. If I was on the plus side and rinsing it with the upgrades and the big names, I'd probably love it even more. But I do enjoy the variation. I think, I don't think it's anything about packs. I think you're absolutely right that I'm looking at a small sample size and being a bit like disgruntled. Would I like to see some bigger names and upgrades? 100%. But yeah, I think I'll stick to my once a week, once a tournament, just go for it. And that first screenshot where I've been like, bang, here's $1,000 pack. I'm gonna fucking post that on Twitter every day. It's gonna be my new banner. So one thing I want to ask you on the way of packs. So obviously, if you're opening smaller packs, when do you open them? Are you somebody that will only open them before the tournament? Do you wait for going into a big game? Like, what's your kind of methodology, or do you not even pay attention to when you open a pack?
I usually do it within an hour or two of them being available.
Just like a dirty addict, give me it.
I don't really see a reason to wait.
Okay.
Like, my thought is whatever's in the pack, like it's not correct that like whatever's in the pack at when they announce it versus 2 days later is the same. Like, the packs aren't necessarily the same, but
yeah,
there's nothing I can do to control that. And so, yeah, I think I would prefer to have the shares active as soon as possible.
No, fair enough.
The only reason I wait with TP is if like I want to open a bigger pack. Like, if I have 1,200 TP left, I'll hold that. Although I didn't yesterday. I think what's funny is that this new idea of opening more smaller packs directly hurts my NFL budget, basically, because what I was doing was opening 5K TP packs, and then if I didn't like the player, selling it immediately and going to NFL. And with these smaller ones, it's like I won. It was like $5 of Lukaku. Let me see. $6.09 of Lukaku and $6.72 of Trafford from a 2K pack. And it's like, that almost like wasn't big enough for me to just like move it to NFL. And so yesterday was like the first time I got shares and I swapped them into other footballers, not into NFL shares. And like when I won $100 worth of Gyökeres, I was like, oh, easy sell. Let me go to NFL and see what I can get.
Get rid of him.
Yeah, I think with the smaller amounts, it's like I'm almost like willing to swap smaller amounts into other footballers instead of moving it over. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to do it, but I don't know.
Everybody's got their own kind of methodology, I guess. I was more so thinking because I've seen people open a pack mid-tournament and they pack a player who has just played like the night before. And my brain always goes like, why have you done that?
Because that's exactly what my thought is. Like, I don't want to miss out on possibly.
Like, you've got to, it's compounding it. You've got to almost open them out to potentially win more TP to compound those rewards. Should you be holding?
Right.
So, no, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, we're we're looping around with circling. I want to circle us back to Champions League. We obviously covered last night. Tonight we've got Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and we've got Arsenal Sporting. Bayern Munich are winning 2-1 or leading 2-1 on aggregate against Real Madrid. Arsenal 1-0 against Sporting. We already know one side of the semis. We've got PSG and Atletico waiting for the winners. Have you got any kind of early predictions on how the games tonight go and who qualifies through to the next round?
As somebody who kind of roots for Arsenal, I just hope they don't screw this up. If they concede early, that's going to be so bad for them, so bad. But they're still better than Sporting, so they should win anyway. Bayern Madrid's a funny one because Madrid just always finds a way in this tournament.
Yeah,
but they're Bayern Munich. It's the one team that I would think that they can't get by. And so, and the quality is just so different, as weird as that sounds, because we're talking about Real Madrid. But Jude is kind of just back from injury. Mbappe's really banged up. And so I just think Bayern ends up smashing them tonight.
I'm just now looking at the kind of the injury suspended. So you've got no Tchouaméni, no Rodrigo, no Asensio, and no Courtois. So Lunin's back in goal.
Yep.
And then for Bayern, you've got Leonard Carl is pretty much the only name of any kind of note that is not going to be playing.
And as injury replacement, they have Musiala, and you're just oh, that's pretty good too.
Yeah, I'm looking at the kind of just on Flash Score, looking at predicted lineups. See, they say Neuer in goal, Stanisic, Upamecano, Tau, and Lima, just solid at the back. In front, you've got Pavlovic and Kimmich, solid players. In front of that, they're suggesting Diaz, Gnabry, Elise with Kane leading the line, and it's there's just so much quality there. That Bayern Munich squad, I was reading before that I think they're on track to break the Bundesliga record for goals scored in a season. It's just you can get goals out of Kimmich, you can get goals out of Pavlovic, out of Elise, out of Gnabry, after Diaz, Kane. You've got players like Musiala off the bench. There's so much threat. And you flip it round to Real Madrid, you got Lunin in goal. He's the number 2 at Real Madrid. Is he a world-class keeper? I'll let you decide. Carreras is suggested on one side, Trent on the other, with Eder and Rudiger in the middle. There's goals that leak in that defence.
Yeah.
Trent has been caught on ice by Diaz. Carreras got caught in no man's land for the goal last game. In front of that, Jude, you've already just suggested it, banged up. Ardagula pisses me off. I've got it. I often buy him in FDF. He should go and do something. He never does. Valverde, there's going to be a lot of weight on his shoulders to recreate the greats that he did against Man City. And then, it's suggesting that kind of leading and trying to score the goals will be Vinny and Mbappe. And again, you've already mentioned it. Mbappe is banged up. He's not 100%. With Bayern being at home, I have to kind of lean towards Bayern. But it's going to be a close game, and exactly what you've said. Whoever scores that first goal, might go on and do it.
So there's no reason to think Madrid should win.
No. Are you saying to win the game or to qualify through?
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
Any Madrid will go into Germany and win take is a contrarian one. And so, Again, they've done it before. I don't think, I would guess just the same people would say Atletico Madrid have no chance against Barcelona. But this is a fully fit Madrid against Bayern, sure. But these guys, are struggling everywhere, it feels like.
Where do you think the game is going to be decided tonight?
I I just see Olise and Kane just destroying them early, and it's just over. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just over quickly, to be honest.
I mean, it's crazy. I just want to try and pull it up. Do you have it in front of you, the minute of the Real Madrid goal? Where is it? Here we go.
I don't.
74th minute. So 74th minute, Mbappe made it 2-1. Off the top of my head, up until that, so the stats of the first half, like Bayern dominated first half, 59% possession, 2.2 XG, 8 shots, 3 on target. It's like, yes, Real were getting shots off and kind of countering and stuff, but Bayern just dictated and controlled the game. You kind of roll it into the second half, and I think Bayern almost thought, we've done it, we've won.
Mm.
I thought that Mbappe goal was later because off the top of my head, it was almost like a bit of a. I feel like that goal came out of nothing. Maybe I'm just completely remembering it wrong. But it's almost like if that wasn't for that goal and it was 2-0 Bayern, we'd probably just be like, yeah, it's done. I think the only difference is because it's 2-1, you've kind of got to say, well, the back door's still slightly open for a 1-0 Real Madrid tonight, and it's 2-2, and all momentum shifts. What can happen? But it's going to be a great game to watch. That's just, no doubt, no question about that.
Yeah, I just like an early goal kind of changes everything on either side. Like if Bayern go up 3-1 on aggregate, that's a lot to like make up. But but like you said, like Mbappe scores as early as Yamal did yesterday, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And then nobody watches Arsenal try to get a 0-0 draw to sneak out 1-0 on aggregate against Sporting.
No, I mean, to be honest, got to give it some respect, that game, I suppose. But my mind says it might be a 2-3-0 to Arsenal win. It just depends on how Arteta wants to come out. Does he want to come out and try and defend a 1-0 lead against Sporting at home? Or does he actually want to go and score a couple of goals? So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go. I don't see Arsenal conceding, and on that basis, Arsenal then qualify.
Yeah.
I don't see how Sporting don't go out attacking and end up conceding to Arsenal. But yeah, I think all eyes are going to be on Bayern and Real. And I'm just quickly looking at Lunin's stats in the second leg of Man City Real Madrid when Lunin came in. He made he's saying 3 out of 3 saves, but he conceded, so that's interesting. They conceded before he was on the pitch. So, he came on second half, 3 out of 3 saves. Atletico Madrid in the league, he had 7 shots on target, made 5 saves, conceded 2. Real Madrid went on and won 3-2. Mallorca, a few weeks later, Mallorca had 2 shots on goal. He didn't make a single save. They lost 2-1. Against Bayern, 7 shots on target, again, saved 5. Did enough. And then against Girona, when they drew 1-1, Girona had 2 shots and he only made 1 save and they drew 1-1. And, this is why I've just said a minute ago that I don't see that Lunin is a top-class keeper. He's 27. He's still kind of inexperienced. He's been the backup for Real Madrid. And exactly like you say, when you've got Olise, Diaz, Kane, Musiala off the bench, you can see that Bayern are going to get another 6, 7, 8 shots off on goal.
Yeah.
Is he making 8 saves tonight, Lunin? I wouldn't be putting my money on it. So we'll see what happens. The games are a matter of hours away at this stage, and we'll know shortly how it goes. But
yeah, Arsenal, I think, are supposed to rotate quite a bit. I mean, they've been doing that a lot in the Champions League lately. Like, Saka's still not like ready to play. I think Rice is not going to play. Timber's been banged up. Like we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tried to put Trossard into my picks the other day, and he wasn't part of the game. But yeah, so it's whether Gyökeres can go back and do anything. after that, he got put on fraud watch against Bournemouth. Scored a penalty, well done, but did nothing else. So it will be interesting. I mean, if Sporting win the game and qualify, oh my god, I'll fucking love it. I'm not trying to slag off Sporting or anything like that. But I think we just have to look at the reality of it. Sporting lost 3-0 against Bodo Glimt. They then went and won 5-0, but they did that in their own, at home. At home against Arsenal, they lost 1-0. Can they go to the Emirates and do anything? They've already had one victorious comeback. I'd love to see another. But yeah, my eyes will be on Bayern Real Madrid.
Everybody.
Everybody. Perfect. No, well, we'll wrap it up there for another episode. I mean, lots to cover. Obviously, going through yesterday's Champions League, we've got more Champions League tonight. I know you mentioned NFL. We're just over a week away from the start of the NFL draft. We'll touch on that in next week's episode. Should be a good one. But yeah, let's see what happens tonight with Real Madrid, Bayern, Atletico. And Arsenal Sporting. So thank you everybody for listening. As always, please give us a like, a share, a comment, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Third Half Podcast.